Hey, what's up, everybody? I got a good crew already. Got Large Marge, Pudgy, Jay Dandy, Broadford, Roger. Looks like Rick is here. Nice. Rusty. Guess I got that camera pointed a little off. Let me know everything's going all right. You guys are chatting about the weather being much better here in Ohio. Yeah, I went out today and it was when I left around 4, it was over 40, which yeah, actually felt like a tropical heat wave after the temperatures we've been having. So still can't ride the bike paths. They're a mess. But yeah, took the roads, went to the bike shop. Me and Aaron met up in the neighborhood Island Square because Hoof Hearted from Columbus, the brewery was up here, and we ordered beer and picked it up. I actually shaved my cheeks, and now I got windburn from today. Maybe because I didn't have my glasses on for a change. I do have the camera now running to the wall outlet for power. I came up with that idea entirely on my own. No one named Rick had anything to do with it. And I have let's see. No. No. It's an Insane Wanderer from Columbus Brewing. Can't get that angle. Huh. There we go. Yeah, who farted? Yeah, actually, we each had one of those at the bike shop tonight. Erin was picking up a fender for her bike so she could finally try out the Crustbound Bora. We're supposed to go riding tomorrow with it. And then, she wants to get some test rides in because we have the gravel race Road Apple Roubaix coming up. So, yeah, it looks like Ben picked a couple up too. Yeah, Rick. Yeah, Pudgy. The Bombora seems to be all dialed, but we'll find out tomorrow. Everything is a go. Like I said, she just got like clip-on fenders for it, just something to keep your back dry and all that stuff. Let's see what's everyone else said. Oh, yeah, Large Marge ran out after he got off work and picked up some of the beer too. That's his selection. What else do we have? Oh yeah, it's and Toonie on Discord. It's Nicholas, right? And on here on YouTube, looks like he's drinking some a red wine blend. Broadford's got a joyous IPA from Trogs. What does that say? A Citra. Nice. Dylan, who I'll pull up here in a second, looks like he's drinking some. I guess that's tea. Pretty light colored, right? What do you have there, Rick? Soothe tincture. Is that an old vial you saved and then you fill that full of LSD? JMC's got a special Stella, a midnight lager. I've never seen any Stellas besides just the regular Stella. Oh, Large Marge cracked open one of his. Their labels, man. Their beer's delicious. And what did Rusty say he had? Belching Beaver, Phantom Bride. It's a collaboration between Belching Beaver and the Deftones. Oh, nice. Oh, look at me on the big screen there. It's probably scaring the heck out of your dog, huh? Dylan said jazz juice. Technicolor hat for Pudgy. You guys always retract messages before I get to see them. I never know what they were. Let me know too. The on-screen chat, I changed it to like a pink instead of the white because I just hate that white. Let me know if that's legible to you guys. It looks legible to me. Probably on a phone, it's always too small. Looks like I'm peaking a little bit on the audio too. There we go. Stella cider is pretty good and dry. Nice. Let's see. I saw that. Looks like Robin H got out for a ride because I know they had such cold weather they weren't riding. I think they were below zero for what, almost a week. Not that legible, honestly. Maybe I should go back to white then. There we go. Pink against purple lights. Gotcha. It should be back to white in a second here then. Whoop, now it disappeared. For me, anyways. Oh, I guess when I change it, then save it, it must delete the ones that were up there before. But hey, what's up, Robin? Yeah. Yeah, I guess it probably also depends on the screen I have it on. Like on this screen, it's going against the black, which is probably what I was looking at it on. Now we'll learn something new every week. Was this today, Robin, you got out again? Because I saw the other day you posted some cool looking photos too. I wish it let me just scroll through those sideways, but it doesn't. That looks pretty cool. Oh, Ben said the color looks better. Well, I'll leave it to white. Tried something new. Didn't work. What you said? Pink against purple lights. That's our indie band name, right? Yeah. Oh, all your photos are from Sunday. Yeah. I was starting to get annoyed on Sunday. I went out to try and ride, and I tried to hit like paths that look like that, and I still just could not. I know that what I made two videos about, and one was a members video, one was the last video I put out. But the kind of snow we've had, it's just like it just cannot get any traction. And then finally, whatever day I went out last, it was just all those footprints, and it's just so bumpy that I'm like this is just no fun. So yep, just like hit the roads. And today it was so nice because it was so much warmer, and I just intentionally went out on the gravel bike, and it just felt like a rocket on the rally. So yeah, let me. Gonna try and get my camera set up while we're talking here. Rick says he refuses to say hello again because I lost all the chat. Let me remember how to do this. Invite. Sorry, guys. Concentrating on. I was gonna to get the chat going. So, a couple of the members, like I was saying, you need to link your accounts to the Discord because that's how we're going to do the having guests. And so, any of the members who are interested, just in that members chat page, hit me up and we could put you on any day. Tuesday and Thursday, we'll just start signing up for it. So, signing up, announcing it. Yeah, Robin said, took the red rocket out. Did I say that? Trying to read too many things at once. As I get more and more going here, it's so much. It's even harder for me to pay attention. But yeah, yeah. Snow riding is all about the right conditions, and some winters it's like I felt like we just go out and ride the bike paths nonstop, and this year it's just been not not the right conditions. Me and Ben, Large Marge, got a couple rides in that were pretty fun, and even like when we went even out to the mountain bike trails, but there was a lot of ice on those. There was another time we went out and rode all the way out to Kent. That was okay. And the last time we did it, it was just brutal. So, oh, um, don't if you what I did last time, don't. Ben just joined the Tuesday chat, and I was just able then to drag his name into the co-host. So if you just join the other one, I should be able to pull you in. So yeah, I really Obsolescence says desalt the rally. That is on my list for tomorrow. Both my bikes really need to be washed, which is, like I've said before, is nice because I've got the basement with a floor drain, so I'm able to do it inside. But yeah, I wanted to wash the rally after tonight's ride, and I just didn't have the time getting all this set up. But the other thing I was trying to do before I went live, and of course I wait till right before, is I was trying to build a little shade for the light that I have up here, which is it's an LED, but it's like a T5 fluorescent shape. And I was trying to place a piece of board so I could knock down the light on the background, but still have it on my face. But then I knocked the whole light down, and then everything started going chaotic. Oh, so here we go. I think this is how I did it last time. There we go. Yeah. And you should be in there, Dylan. I got your icon up.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Aluminum bikes like winter more. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably what's made my Trek last so long is that it is aluminum. It doesn't affect it as much, but I'm usually pretty on top of keeping my rally clean, which I just haven't been as much lately. Let's see. There we go. All right. I could see. Can you hear me, Dylan?
Yeah, yeah, can you hear me?
All right. Oh, I don't have my headphones on, so I can. I'm like, I can hear him real quiet in the background. Let's see. Pull up the. There we go. Let me make that full screen. Oh, perfect. Nice. How's it going? Oh, lost you.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
Oh,
I'm
you're back.
back. Sorry.
All right. I can hear you. Can you guys, could everyone in the chat hear both of us? See what they say. Give them a second. It sounds good to me. I'm not hearing any echo, though, so.
Cool. Yeah, it's weird. Like I have YouTube up on my other computer, and it's weird. There's such a delay. Like it's. I feel like it's almost like 30 seconds or like a minute delay. Like for me watching the live stream on YouTube and then
Huh.
like talking in here.
When I
It's
flip
weird.
when I flip between look because I'm looking at my software on the computer when I run the streams, so I for me everything's in real time even though I know it's delayed for everybody else. But
Yeah.
when I look at YouTube Studio, I only get about 10 seconds. But it's probably different depending on where everyone is, right? And I have no idea how that would work. you know?
Yeah, I feel like, well, I don't know. Probably in America, like it's all the same. But I know, like overseas, like latency is a thing, like internet streaming.
That sounds like everyone.
But
Yeah, everyone could hear us. Everyone's good. Awesome.
cool.
Yeah, that's why I just don't even open up the YouTube page and I just concentrate on like what's going on in the software. I'm like I just do it all and then like I know that the chat's probably a little bit delayed, but I'm like that's how it goes, you know. So because usually
Cool.
I'll say something and then I'll see someone comment with like they're all answering after I've already said something. But I'm just trying to get used to that and hang on a little bit and be patient. But
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if like someone comments in the chat, you'll probably see it before me, right? On YouTube?
that seemed to be the case with when I was talking to Large Marge last week. What I always do is he just said right now the delay makes it super weird. I had to just stay on Discord when he video chatted. So
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's pretty much yeah, what I kind of feel right now because it is like really weird.
yeah, yeah. What I usually do, I pop the chat off YouTube and I run it next to my software, and then just have YouTube in the background so I don't even see it on the one screen. And then I
Mhm.
have Discord, and that's how I could pay attention to both things. So I have the software here and Discord on this screen. So when I'm pulling up the drink pics or the bike pics or whatever. But now when we do this, I have to pay even more attention because I have a third browser window where I save stuff. So while we're chatting, I could have stuff so I don't have to go back and find like pictures of your bikes. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's second Chrome window, you know? But,
Yeah. Yeah, you need like, I don't even know. You need like four monitors, just like a sort of like tower or something.
yeah. How many monitors do you edit with?
So I have two 1080 monitors side by side, and then I have another monitor. I don't really, it's not very big, but it's called a Flanders Scientific Monitor, and it's actually like a broadcast calibrated color correction monitor. It's pretty sweet. It works great. But yeah, I use that too when I'm color correcting.
So yeah, that's what. So you're a video editor. That's what you do for a living, right?
Yep, yep. Just finessing that Premiere timeline.
Yeah.
Just 5 days a week, just on the timeline.
So I was one thing I was curious about. So, because I'm a full freelancer, so I'm either starting out. I
Mhm.
almost always worked for like a communications firm that doesn't have like in-house photographer or videographer, and sometimes I'll work for an organization or a company directly. It's about 50-50
Mhm.
now. Are you a freelancer or do you work for some kind of agency that?
So I actually I work full time for this company called Express. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's basically like a big box like fashion retailers are in like all the malls in US. And they're actually based here in Columbus. So I work full time for them, but also kind of like whenever it drops into my lap, I do pick up freelance work. Like I actually like every election season, I edit a bunch of those like political ads you see, like
Hmm.
they're super corny, but like it pays well, so I'm like, whatever, I'll just do it, like stuff like that.
Yeah, I was looking at your portfolio or your website, and I saw Express, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's what I was looking at their description. I'm like, this is the mall Express, right? This is the Express, the you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting because they're such a big company, but like they started in Columbus and they're still based in Columbus. Like everything happens in Columbus pretty much, except for the shoots. The shoots don't happen in Columbus. They happen in like New York and LA and stuff like that.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because I saw that and I was like, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, are you a freelancer and the Express's ad agency hired you to do the editing, or but you're actually in house? So Express does all their stuff in house.
Yeah, it's like a combination. Like sometimes when we need like really crazy stuff done, like VFX, like heavy VFX that like me or the other editor can't handle, we'll like hire it out to like big companies from like New York and LA and stuff like that. But yeah, like mostly it's in house. The people actually shooting the stuff though are not in house. Those are like huge production companies. Like think like just like movie set, like 40 people like on set, like just doing a bunch of like specialized things. So
So are you guys
yeah.
hiring specifically, like your Express is sending them the clothes, telling them the kind of what they want, and then you're taking the footage back from the video shoot and putting together the spots for like
Yeah.
commercials and YouTube
Yeah,
videos? That's
yeah.
kind of the.
That's exactly what happens. There'll be like a couple people that are like art directors that work for Express, and they'll go to the shoots and sort of make sure like the stuff they want done is getting done. But yeah, that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, see, I'm such like small potatoes working so locally that I it's interesting to know like how it goes across at a bigger company. So, a lot of my company like things I do are charity work and stuff like that. So a lot of the times I'm just a one
Mhm.
man show, and I figured out how to have my recorder and my camera and my headphones so everything's facing me so I could run the whole thing all at once, and then I'm going
Yeah,
back and
yeah.
doing all, you know.
Yeah, I mean there's pluses to both ways for sure. Like I used to shoot stuff a lot more than I do now. I pretty much don't shoot at all, but like when I was kind of starting out, I was doing like the whole like shooting everything and then also editing everything and just trying to like do that. And I kind of found that I sort of like excelled more at just the editing part. So I kind of just focused on that.
that's the real reason I really about a little over a year ago picked back up doing YouTube a lot was just to get better at the editing and to get quicker and to be able to do it like I do Photoshop. Like Photoshop, I know all the keyboard shortcuts I need to do for
Hmm.
retouching, like high end commercial work was my main thing,
Hmm.
and I'm glad I did because with the pandemic, I've probably ended up doing 70 to 80% of my work has been video this year, and just those little things you could do to speed up editing, just
Yeah.
making all the cycling videos. That was the real point. The fact that now it's turned into we actually kind of have a community here and people watch it's really fun. But that wasn't the original goal. So
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't think you can like I actually went to school for like photography technically, and I never really like got classes for like video editing or anything like that. And I truly believe that like if you just cut video like constantly, that's like the best way to learn because what really speeds it up is just all these like little things. And when you start adding those little things together, um, yeah, I don't know, like you don't realize it, and then you like look back like 3 years ago or so, and then you're like, oh wow, like this stuff has really added up to save a lot of time. And when you're freelancing, like I'm sure you know, like day rates or flat rates or whatever, it can save you a lot of money if you know how to work really fast and still make a really good video.
that's what when I'm in any forum and people like are trashing Adobe, and I'm just like, that's what I always try and tell people. I'm like, time is money. And when they save me
Hmm.
time, like, because some people hate Creative Cloud and now that it's subscription, I love it
Hmm.
because we get those updates all the time. And sometimes a new update is something that, if that means 10 to 15 minutes in every edit, that stuff adds up, that I could save. So,
Yeah, I actually like the cloud model because like a few months ago, I was working on a really big freelance job that lasted for about 3 months. And like I have my PC, like my personal PC, and I built it for freelance video editing, but then I also use a Mac Pro like tower for my Express stuff because that's like the computer they own. So when I was working that big freelance job for a few months, I just bought Adobe Cloud for those 3 months and just paid for it for those 3 months and then canceled it when I was done working the freelance. So in that scenario, I like it because it saves a lot of money because I don't have to buy it all up front, just kind of like use it when I need it.
yeah, I think some people forget that that used to cost almost $1,000 to buy the whole Creative Suite. And then you had to wait almost 2 years for an update. I mean,
Hmm.
so,
Yeah.
Rusty was asking if that's your bike in the background, which it is, and then he was, "What's your frame bag?"
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So that bike is a Y Cycles S7. It's a titanium hardtail 27.5 plus designed around a 120 or 130 travel fork. And yeah, that's a Rogue Panda frame bag. You just like take a photo of your bike, and it's pretty insane. Like how I'm so impressed with how well they do the feminine stuff just off a photo, and like their prices too. Like I can't believe it. Like I feel like they should be charging like 25% more than they do because yeah, it's just like so well made. Yeah, I don't know. I over the years, like I tried out a lot of different carrying methods. I definitely used like the fanny packs for years, and I just got kind of sick of it. And I found that the frame bag works best for me. I mean, I like all the weight central in the bike because it doesn't affect handling. Like if you have a big heavy bag on the front bars, and yeah, it just works out really great. Like in the summer, I put like a 2 liter water bladder in there, all my tools, snacks, and it really holds like everything I need for a day ride. And then when I go bike packing on it, just put a bag on the back and the front, and that's about it. I have the same brand of bag on my gravel bike. Yeah, I love it. I love the sort of like permanent frame bag setup.
Yeah, that's how I saw D'Amico jumped in here. How you doing, man? He said the pirated copies of Photoshop were much cheaper. Yeah, I used to have the when I was younger. My friends in college, they'd come home with the CD, burned CDRs and stuff in Photoshop. But once you start doing it for a living, you kind of, yeah, it's worth just paying for it. I was pulling up Oh, that's your bike before. That's the same bike, but before you switch to the rigid fork, right?
Um,
It'll probably take you a minute to see it, huh?
yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's not up on the screen, but yeah, I'm assuming it's that photo I shared before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still not up, man. I don't know.
Let me
It's
see.
delayed so much.
Yeah, see, my delay, it's already switched over, but yeah.
Okay, okay, now it just switched over. I see it now. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's what the suspension fork. It's a 130 fork. Um yeah, oh yeah, and then I put the front bag on because I that was like a really not like long and distance ride, but the conditions were just so snowy and icy. That's for people that live in Ohio. That was the Mohegan Mountain Bike Trail, and it's around 25 miles long, and it's I don't know. I'd say for an average mountain biker, not in snow, like it would probably take like 3 or 4 hours to get through it. But the snow just added, I think, like 2 hours on, and it was just such a slog. So I needed to bring some extra food and stuff.
I was gonna say too. I was looking at so I was looking at your Express videos.
Mhm.
Then I was also looking at the what what was the name of it? Oh, the tilt stuff. Is this you in the one the glow in the dark video? Is that actually you riding the scooter?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm not anymore, but I used to be a professional scooter rider for about 10 years.
Oh, really?
And yeah, yeah, yeah. That's kind of how I got into like video stuff, like just
Get that up.
filming with my friends at the skate park. But then my friends started making, well, they started companies and like, they needed videos and stuff. But I also like rode for a couple different scooter companies um, over the years and, like traveled all over the country, like an international trip. And yeah, it was definitely huge.
I have it going in the background, the one, because I watched that and I'm like, holy, this is not like amateur stuff here. This is serious because I know about the scene, but it's not something I was ever involved in. I skateboarded when I was younger, and then like
Yeah, yeah.
I said, worked on the farm for everything. Got back into cycling, but yeah, I was watching this stuff and I was blown away. Growing up, my neighbor was sponsored for scooter riding, but that used to be with the bigger pneumatic tires they used to run. If you were, I don't know, that was late '80s type
Yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I know those. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have like if you just like search my name on YouTube, I have tons and tons of videos like because that's like I mean it's like skating, like that's all we would do. We would just like make street scooter riding videos, like travel all over and stuff. So, yeah.
yeah, that was super cool. I was, yeah, like even where you just jump that huge grate in the sidewalk, I was like, holy hell. And then I was like, well, it makes more sense too when we chat in the Discord about some of the cycling stuff and you're talking about like, getting air with, it's easier with your clipless and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, that makes sense if that's kind of where you're coming from already, having that like a freestyle background in something, whereas,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like, I don't like lean towards like full like downhill like enduro full face mountain bike bro. Like I really don't like that culture because there's like this parallel with like motocross and I don't know. I just am not a fan of like that side of the mountain bike culture. But yeah, I mean, I really like pedaling the bike for a long time, but I also definitely like jumping and like going really fast downhill and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely lean a lot towards mountain biking or like on the gravel bike, like riding the gravel bike on things you probably shouldn't and jumping and stuff. It's pretty it's pretty fun to me. So
yeah, it's interesting to hear you say you came from like that's kind of how you got into video because photography and videography for me come from the uh, the rock and roll live music world. So I was in bands, and then I started taking pictures of the bands, and then I would
Mhm.
see like stuff where I'm like, oh, why is this so good and my stuff's not so good? And then like it was like totally a music thing for me and pushed me into oh, I want to take cool photos of bands, and I think a lot of photographers, videographers, the influence sometimes is from the outside. It's something else we're doing, and then that desire to capture it in a way.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's totally always how it happens. Yeah.
I pulled up another one of your bikes here. Is that one on screen for you yet?
Yeah, the gravel bike is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about? Yeah, so that's another Y Cycles. That's like their gravel bike they make. Kind of built it up over time with some components that I don't know, like are kind of what I think a gravel bike should be. I don't know, a couple of neat little touches. It's got some SRAM 11-speed shifters that I put in this thing called the Ratio. It's made by a company called Ratio in the UK, so you can use 11-speed shifters with SRAM 12-speed Eagle. So yeah, I put a 12-speed on that. Yeah, it's got one of those Rogue Panda frame bags with like two zippers, and it's kind of handy because it's got a little divider in there. Some fenders for I take them off in the summer, but for winter riding, they're so crucial to not be miserable. And then some like decently fat tires, like some like 650 by 50 mil tires. But I think I'm gonna put on a little bit fatter tires when I take off the fenders. So
What's the max clearance you could put on that bike?
I mean, they say a 2.1, but you could probably fit in a 2.2 in the rear. And then my fork, you could do like a 2.4, but I wouldn't, I'd probably just go like 2.2 front and back. I think that'd be a pretty good combo. Oh, I got some really, I mean, pretty wide bars on there. They're like 53 centimeters on the hoods, 56 in the drops. Um, I don't know. I just like that kind of like wider, like mountain bike feel. Like I ride like 800 millimeter bars on my mountain bike. So I don't know. I just like wide bars, even though I'm not really that tall and my bikes aren't really that big. But yeah,
Well, if you're doing gnarly stuff, it's just the leverage is important, right? Just being able to.
yeah,
Yeah, that's it. That's a thing for me is since my gravel bike is now almost the level of vintage gravel bike, I'm pretty much limited with the 42s, which when I first got I thought was massive clearance, and now I'm getting to the point where it's like I kind of want something that could have bigger, like a drop bar bike, but more wider tires. We were talking last week about that Arizona trip where a couple of the Arizona guys were like, "Yeah, 42s are just not wide enough for those trails out there." So I don't.
yeah. And it's I don't know. It's like interesting. Like it's definitely based on conditions, yeah, but it's also based on kind of like where you come from too. Like a road biker's gravel bike is so much different than a mountain biker's gravel bike, and like what they think about in terms of tire size.
Yeah, which is I came from riding vintage road bikes to
Hmm.
like finally getting a gravel bike after turning what I thought was turning a vintage bike into what I considered a gravel bike with 38s, and
Hmm.
still down tube shifting. And to me, that was my first gravel bike. And then, yeah, to switch over to something with 42s and even 9-speed Shimano, I thought I was on top of the world riding modern stuff. And that's just a few
Hmm.
years ago. So,
Yeah, your gravel bike is cool because I think it was like the first ever like actually marketed as a gravel bike. You know what I mean? If I'm correct, the
I,
Rally Tamlin, right?
yeah, that's what. So I bought it off Otis, who owns Dirty River, and that's why he got it because it was kind of that's where they were heading. And yeah, the guy who designed it was basically giving Rowley all this information on like this is what a bike made for a gravel racing should be, not just a cross bike, but it should be a specific thing. And so I guess what
Hmm.
the Salsa, I think it's the War Road or the Warbird is kind of the other contemporary of that bike. They're both kind of around the same time, and there's some debate that those are the two first true gravel bikes, or all road
Yeah, yeah.
bikes, whatever.
Yeah, man, cross bikes are just I don't know, the geometry and like the way those frames are. I think they're fine on like flat terrain, but just going downhill like a cross bike was kind of like my first drop bar bike. I started riding off road. And since the bottom brackets are so high on those bikes, when you're descending, you just I don't know, it just feels like you're like standing on top of the bike, and it just feels so crazy. Like compared to a low bottom bracket, you're like a little bit lower to the ground. So
I said
yeah.
that with the Raleigh, and I still get that feeling when I ride like, my Trek 500, which is an '82 Trek, which I've made a Neo retro build with 9-speed Shimano. that
Mm.
bike and which would be similar to what cross bikes still feel like in geometry. Like I always say, I feel like I'm on that bike, and then when I sit on my rally, I feel like I'm in that bike, and it's such
Yeah,
a
yeah.
different, more comfortable, feeling.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I pulled up your next bike, and I see Rick's already asking about the fork. Well, I saw Rusty said do not ride that Arizona ride on 42s, but yeah, so your niner. I know we talked about this in the chat before, but it's so much easier when we have you here. So what? Why don't you go through this bike too? Because it's such a cool looking ride.
Yeah, yeah. So I've had this bike for a while now, and I kind of like got it before I really dove into like understanding bike geometry. And I rode it for like a year, a little over a year, sort of like just normal like drop bar gravel bike mode. And I kind of like figured out that the frame was too big for me. The chain stays are just like pretty long on it. The bottom bracket is like really low, like too low, kind of for like technical terrain. And the stack is just like pretty high. So I just like after a while, I just realized the geometry just like wasn't really what I was looking for in a gravel bike. But I still really love the frame and how it rode and stuff. So I wanted to keep it. So I just, threw some flat bars on there and sort of made it a city bike. I put that green Soma fork on it just so I could have like all the mounts to like put a rack on there and be able to like hold really heavy stuff on it. And yeah, it's been a blast. Like I just keep those fenders on year round. Those tires are just 650 by 42 slick gravel kings, and I don't take that bike off road pretty much at all. I just like ride around the city on pavement on it, and yeah, it works really good. I was like kind of worried about how it would handle with like a big front load on the rack, and it's pretty decent. Like it's definitely like not designed for it, so it has like a little bit of flop turning. But I mean, like around the city, I'm just like going straight and then making a 90-degree turn and then going straight again. So I don't really care.
I see D'Amico back to our earlier conversation. Who's a guy I know from around here. He said he got into photography because he likes airplanes and he just wanted to capture them. But yeah, going
Oh
back to
yeah,
like why you get into something different. Then
yeah, yeah.
Kayak jumped in and he asked, and this is a question I actually don't know, so maybe you're familiar with it. But he said, "Hey Tim, what do you think of priorities belt drive and gear changing?" I'm actually completely unfamiliar with that. I have a friend with a belt drive bike, but those were all single speed. Are you familiar?
Oh yeah. So I don't know the exact like if it's like a roll off whatever. I remember like I've never ridden one, but I remember seeing you could probably look up an article. It's on bikepacking.com. And I remember they said that the issue they had with, I think it was a belt drive system, but it was more of like the roll off or like, or no, it might have been like the Gates pinion gearbox. I think it was the Gates pinion gearbox. I don't know. One
That's
of
what
those
Pudgy
like,
says. Gates drive is great, but it goes away. Oh, if it goes away, it leaves the frame unusable. Anyways, go on. Yeah.
yeah, but the article on bike packing, the main thing they said was like when you shift, there's like a very significant lag in like the the drive system engaging again. So it's like almost like your hub engagement like slips for a second. And they said it was fine like on like flat if you're just riding gravel roads or whatever, but the bike they had that drive system on was a mountain bike. And for technical
Oh,
terrain when you need to do these like really quick cranks, to maneuver, they said it just like was not good at all.
yeah. You cannot have a delay. Even Lanky Cyclist talking about that in one of his original version of his Surly Wednesday, that he was having lag even in the he was having a problem with the rear derailleur, and I was like, yeah, when you mountain bike, you need those gears to engage exactly when you need them to. So is that
Yeah.
so? Maybe I am familiar with that. Is that the one where they had like the gearbox and it's supposed to last forever and it's like an oil system, like it's sitting there in some kind of lubricant, right? It's all internal.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
Pudgy said, yeah, it's like Gates and Pinion. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't know much about him, honestly. I've never really looked. They've never really like sparked my interest because I don't want to like ride my bike around the world. But
Yeah. Yeah. There was a guy.
yeah,
Me and Ben used to do these large Marge. Ben used to do these Akron bike parties, which were really fun. And there was a guy I think there who had one, and he loved to describe the system to everybody. But again, at 10 miles an hour in a party ride where everyone's just listening to music and yelling and having fun on a Friday night, I'm sure it's fine. But that's a totally different situation than any kind of
Mhm.
level of performance, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I think I don't know. Maybe the the Rollhoff. I don't know. I don't know much about that one. I feel like that one's been around for a while, and I don't know. Maybe that works better. I don't know.
It's so weird that like, it really is what I don't know. What they It's so simple. Once they came up with the parallel rear derailleur, nothing has really replaced it. I mean, it's been refined a million times and it keeps getting better, but it really is the. It just seems like the best system for shifting a bike was invented by Campy, you know, 80 years ago.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed. I mean, like I said, you keep improving it. You keep making the gears smaller, make the chain thinner, get more gears on there, but I don't know, move the shifting to the levers instead of the down tube. But I don't know, all the other stuff just, I haven't seen anyone really improve it. There was that direct drive thing that someone was kept showing pictures of a few years ago that was like a straight bar and it's supposed to be the least loss of, I don't know, friction BS and all that. And I'm like, how does that thing shift? How is that going to be simple and efficient? What do you do if that breaks out on the trail? So
Yeah. Yeah, I think is that like the like a drive shaft system, I
yes,
think.
drive shaft's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again,
Yeah, I think that's what like some motorcycles and cars kind of use something like that, maybe.
it's even a reason that I'm still always been iffy on even a lot of hydraulic stuff. Like, I understand how much better hydraulic brakes are, but if you're 4 days in on a bike packing trip, and you have a problem with a hydraulic line, you have a lot of
Yeah,
problems. And
yeah, but honestly, man, if you ride a pair of Paul clampers, they're those clampers are like pretty similar to hydraulics in terms of power. Like it's pretty impressive.
that's what I was. So Large Marge just got some, and that's what I was thinking of upgrading the Raleigh to. And they're so expensive. I'm like, well, I could do one at a time. I put clampers on the
Yeah.
front, and then wait till I want to spend the money and put clampers on the rear. But yeah, because that's what I keep hearing is that those are cable actuated, brakes that
Hmm.
have that kind of feel. And to be honest, I mean, if it's not super wet and sloppy out, you know, some rim brakes are really good. On my most roady bike that has 9 speed Durace, those rim brakes, man, are really really good, and they're not even,
Yeah.
and they're 10 years old, at least
Yeah.
probably. So I
Yeah,
don't.
I've found too that with mechanical brakes, whether it be disc or rim, I really like to use compressionless housing. And I found that that improves the braking power a lot. Like
Mm,
especially at like the very last like bit of travel on the lever where you're like really smashing down on the brakes. I found that that helps a lot.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, like it might not be. I don't know. I think it's like significant. Other people may have different opinions, but it's like I feel like with normal mechanical brake housing, you'll like kind of smash the levers down, but there's still that always sort of like squish. But with like compressionless housing, it just kind of like stops. Like it's just like solid. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too depends on where you come from. I mean, or what you're used to. I mean, people were descending the mountains in the Tour de France since the 20s, whenever they first started adding the mountains, and you know they stopped sometimes. So I don't,
Yeah.
anyways, what I pulled up your next bike here too with the. And so, what brand is this one? Is that
Yeah, so this brand is Vinyl. It's VYNL. It's a super small company. They like specialize in aluminum frames. They only make aluminum frames. They make road frames, and then they have a cyclocross frame. And it's just like it's just one of those things. Like it's run by this guy who works for Stages Power Meters.
Hmm.
He lives in Colorado, and like I don't know, the company probably has like 1 to 5 employees, and it's kind of just like a side project basically. Um, but yeah, this bike is supposed to. It has geometry that they like call like a crit racing bike, and like essentially like they have like the bottom bracket like a little bit higher, so you don't like smash your pedals when you're doing
Hmm.
tight turns in crit racing. And they also say like, oh, since it's aluminum, when you crash on a crit race, like it won't get damaged like a carbon frame. But I just really was looking for like a classically styled aluminum road bike, just like normal round tubes. So yeah, that's why I went with it, and they're like fairly affordable for what they are. Like it's like a semi-custom like as far as like the color and the decals, and then you can also get custom geometry for like a small amount more. So they're pretty affordable, and I think a lot of it has to do because they are aluminum. So
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
And then I see the Hunt wheel set. Those are so Hunt is don't is affordable carbon is kind of there. Is that their deal? Because I know where they make some affordable carbon rims, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like their whole thing is like all the wheels they make, whether it be aluminum or carbon, are affordable. And like, I don't know, like those wheels I have, like, they just work. They're not anything fancy. They're probably just like some like open mold, rim profile. But I don't know, they get the job done. Like they're light, stiff, aero. So I don't know. And I mean, my main concern was the hubs because I was like, are these bearings like good? But they roll so smooth. Like if you just take the wheel and roll them, I've been really happy about them. The only thing that's kind of crazy is the free hub like freewheel noise is it's like it's like embarrassingly loud. Like if you're like going around like a walker on a bike path, like a lot of times I'll shift into like a harder gear just so I'm not freewheeling because like people will like literally like jump to the side of the bike path because it sounds so insane when you're
Huh.
freewheeling.
But that
Um,
seems to be a trend, anyways. Though, and I was actually watching an interview with Chris King, and he was saying his next thing was to take the noise out of the free hubs, and he said people didn't. It turned out like there was a negative reaction to that because now like a noisy free hub seems to people equate that with quality, and I'm trying to think of what Large Marge has a bike that is like that is just so loud, and it's like, man, that guy can never sneak up and attack me in a goofy like trying to sprint to a finish because I could tell if he's freewheeling and I could tell if he's not. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I like my gravel bike and my mountain bike have hubs made by Industry 9, and they're not as loud as these hunt wheels. Like these hunt wheels are just like crazy. And I've also tried like so like Industry 9 recommends like you can like tune the volume of your hubs by using a certain free hub oil. And I've actually like used it in the hunt hub and put it in there to try to quiet it down, but it just didn't do anything. So
Huh.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's interesting coming from the vintage bike world, which I like to rate. Like they're so quiet, but now I've also realized how long like some of the older ones take to engage. Like you could have like a quarter pedal before like those
Yeah.
splines are actually hitting, and I think that's
Yeah.
why some of the modern ones are so noisy is because there's so many little tines and splines that are spinning around, so the engagement
Yeah.
is fast and they're very powerful. But
Yeah, I saw that Pudgy said the Onyx hubs are silent. Yeah,
hmm,
that's those hubs they use a completely different mechanism. They don't use like ratchets and pawls. It's like the hub looks like a clutch basically, and it's like a completely different system. So since it's like that when you pedal, it's like an absolutely instant engagement and there's no noise at all like when you're freewheeling. So I don't know, people like that.
yeah, that's what some
Um,
people are saying. Ben said his are the i9s that are super loud on his monsoon. Some people
Yeah.
said they substitute for a bell. Yeah, people know you're coming.
No, they honestly do. It's so crazy. Like yeah, I mean I have a bell on all my bikes, but yeah, like sometimes I'll just freewheel for a bit and like then hit the bell and like yeah, the people know. But it's like if you're not a bike person, like imagine like just somebody who's not a bike person and they're like walking on the bike path. Like it sounds insane. Like it doesn't even
Yeah.
sound like it doesn't even sound like a bike. You're like, what is this like coming? Like I I remember actually recently I was on my mountain bike and I was like, riding around like the neighborhood on like the other side of High Street in Columbus. And I was just like bombing this hill on my mountain bike and I had the dropper post down and I was like sitting down on the bike like super low and my hub is so noisy and there was these like neighborhood kids and they're like, "Wow, dude, you got an e-bike," because they like thought they thought
Assume
my
that.
hub noise was the e-bike motor. And I was like, "Nah, man, I don't have an e-bike." But
I
yeah.
was I threw up this picture from where you posted some ride photos the other day around
Mhm.
Columbus. The one bridge is where you were riding along down by that river, and I don't know if it's this bridge. Were you going along? Is there a bridge with a picture like a mural of birds underneath it and stuff? Is that where you were in Columbus?
Oh yeah, so that it's near that, but it
Okay.
but it's not that park. That park with the mural of birds actually has like a really really like ripping uphill and downhill that I kind of like. It's super short, but I just like loop that on a lot of my rides. But that's how like a lot of my rides around my house are. It's like I I sort of connect like all these like tiny like just like off-road stuff, and it actually I don't know, it's so cool. Like you can like connect all these like trails and never really go on the main roads. All these like little cut-throughs and stuff.
Yeah, that's because my friend Brad, who lives down in Columbus, we walked that way from his house to a coffee shop. And I was looking at all your photos, and I'm like, it's winter, so it looks so different. But I'm like, I
Mhm.
feel like I've been on like some of these paths that you were showing your riding photos from. But
Yeah,
then,
yeah. I live like right around there. Like I only live like a mile and a half from that mural with birds. It's like right by my house. So yeah.
okay, yeah, you guys are in the same area then. Yeah.
Yeah, so I live have you ever ridden just like the Olentangy bike trail? Like it's the one that's like on the Olentangy River, like directly next to it.
Yeah, yeah, me and Large Marge have been down there. Yeah.
Yeah, so my house is like literally like on the path, like the path I can like see it out of my window. So yeah,
Oh, nice.
it's pretty nice. Yeah.
And that's what we do up here too a lot is we just try and connect all these little bits that we find, whether they're official or these, weird little back trails and stuff,
Hmm.
or stuff that you could ride in the winter that
Hmm.
you couldn't get away with in summer because there'd be too many people around, kind of thing.
Yeah, I always try to like be really conscious of that. Like a lot of the trails I ride at night with a light when there's nobody there, or like if I ever see somebody, I just like get off my bike and like nobody ever knows like the actual trail etiquette, and the trail etiquette is like always have the hikers or like walkers go when you're supposed to get off your bike. So I just try to be like as nice as I can because these trails are so fun and they're like so important and local that I just don't want people to get pissed and like just put up like no biking signs and stuff like that.
Yeah, even right before we stopped doing our group rides, me and Large Marge went out to a spot and he was taking us and some guys and we got out there and it was still daylight and then we saw people walking with their families and we just peeled off. We're like, nope, not. We'll have to
Yeah.
wait till late fall or the time change. This is somewhere we can ride later, but it's not exactly. Don't want to like ruin it for everybody. I took my
Yeah.
friend Kyle out. He's a foundation guy and showed him some of like what I always call the industrial gravel. And he's like, should I post about this? And I'm like, why post photos from here? And he's like, but I shouldn't like show the map and everything to the people I know. And I was like, this technically train private property, so probably not. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
yeah. He's like, I don't want to be the guy who gets the fence thrown up for all you, so you can't go back here anymore.
Yeah, and I'm sure like I don't know like how many Columbus people are in this chat or whatever, but so there's this park in Columbus called the Park of Roses, and it's directly off the Olentangy Trail, like right by my house. And there's like a couple sections that are just they're so good, like off-road sections that are really short, but they're like it's like a mountain bike trail. It's so freaking good. And like recently they put up everywhere like these like no biking signs. So it's
Mm,
like it's probably just like some person who has like nothing better to do, like complain to the city. And also on the other side of it too, it's probably somebody, multiple people who are like riding like idiots, just like full pace, like running walkers and hikers off the trail. You know what I mean?
that's what it is. It's always the person who's not respectful because it's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we definitely break a lot of rules with our cycling, but it's also like be respectful. There's one trail we
Yeah.
ride that's next to a dog park, and it's not part of the dog park, but we always defer to the person with their dog on a leash. It's like, or with their dog off the leash. It's like, yeah, let's not make the city put up no bike signs here because we want to ride here in the winter after it's dark when people, with their dogs are not out. So it's like, let's be a little nicer in the summer and make sure we announce ourselves and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a question in here that I wanted, probably lost. Well, I know Pudgy's from Columbus, and he said he's probably ridden by your house a bunch of times.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a bunch of comments about the hubs and hub noises, and GCN, their tech channel, did a really cool video where they tore a bunch of them down and showed some of those weirder ones like you were talking about. That's more like a clutch. Some of the Mavic ones were really interesting.
Mm.
If you guys Google or go to YouTube and do GCN Tech like hub teardown or something freewheel teardown, it's worth doing just to see all the different ways that they are made. And let's see what else.
Yeah.
A lot of jokes as always. Yeah, D'Amico, so he lives up here, he was saying too. He said that's one of the reasons he would like to get back into mountain biking when 15 years ago it was only illegal. And that's what, yeah, me and my friends used to go out and ride the hiking trails. And that's all there was. And then we just basically played dumb when we got in trouble with the Rangers. Like, oh, there wasn't a no biking sign. Or if it had that classic no biking sign, we're like, oh, we thought that meant you don't ride 10 speeds out here because it'd be dangerous, and just pretended to be dumb kids to get out of it. But it really was. There were no trails, and now we have two within riding distance from my house. So it really
Yeah.
has changed. Yeah.
It's cool too that like there's actually like purpose built mountain biking trails being built, because like I feel like what happened with a lot of the state parks in Ohio, that were like hiking trails, a lot of them now you're allowed to ride bikes on them, but it wasn't built for bikes, and it just like sucks. Like you don't even want to. Like the flow is just so bad. You're basically just like pushing your bike up a hill and then like bombing straight down a hill, not even turning, and you're like going so fast that you're just like slamming on the brakes. So I'm glad that there's like I know there's like those like two machine built trails like around you, like East Rim. I've ridden that a lot. It's got some really, really fun jumps. And what is the Hampton Hills, yeah, that
Yeah.
one is really good too.
Hampton's where me and Ben just went.
Mhm.
2 Mondays ago, rode in the snow, and I hadn't been back since they added all those extra trails as you get down the side of the valley, which was really fun. Because Hampton is a trail that I can't wait till the weather's nice. I'm gonna go ride that with my gravel bike because it's not.
Mhm.
They have a couple drop offs that I will just avoid, and they have like bypasses for them. But in general, once you get down there, that's like a really fun, flowy, like old school style trail. Where everyone tells me East Rim is much more of a mountain bike. You know, you're way better off on a mountain bike for that. So,
Yeah, Eastrim like actually has jumps, like proper like big tabletops and like like doubles and stuff. And but the way it's built though, like you don't have to jump any of them. You can just like ride up flat and down, and it'll be totally fine. But yeah, it would suck on a gravel bike. It just wouldn't even be fun. Not, I don't think it would. I
yeah.
don't know.
And Hampton has that whole top section that you could ride on pretty much anything. I mean, I've
Yeah.
ridden it on my 6 speed Peugeot, like an 80s aero
Yeah.
bike, on 32s, no problem. But sometimes that stuff's fun too. And under biking, something like Hampton, I think is fun because it adds back in that dimension that we were talking about this on one of the streams, whereas, you know, sometimes completely full suspension mountain bikes around here are too much for what we have because then they're just flattening everything, in a way.
Yeah, that's yeah, man. It's like the mountain bike industry is just like their main marketing focus is like enduro culture. So they're marketing these like 160 travel enduro bikes to like everybody in like full face helmets and goggles and stuff. And you just like see people on those at like Ohio cross country trails. And I mean, like, teach their own. Like, if that's the like experience you want to curate for yourself, then go ahead. But I just think you might have a better experience on like something with like a little bit less travel, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just, one of my influences in like making videos and doing live streams is, I always talk about Terry Berenson. He was just out in Sedona. And one of the last videos he put out, like the stuff was as crazy as anything I'd ever seen. Like just all rock, super steep, and then chunky rock, side of cliff, type stuff. And like that's what those bikes are made for. You know what I mean? You can't go out
Mhm.
and ride those on anything but a full suspension mountain bike. If I lived out there, I would have one. And it's just like
Mhm.
I've always said about around here with like, I would probably be a skier and a snowboarder if I lived in Colorado. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
for me, it's just never been worth it. And the same thing with having some crazy, really awesome, but bike that's built for something that we just don't have the terrain for around here is unnecessary. And
Yeah.
if you're going to ride to the trail, you're going to ride. You definitely don't want to be riding a full suspension mountain bike 10 miles to East Rim, or I don't. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I did a trip to Pisgah in Asheville, North Carolina to ride some mountain bike trails there a couple years ago. And that was kind of like an eye opener because I was like, oh, okay, like this is what full suspension mountain bikes are for because it was just like a different world. Like at the time I was riding like a steel hardtail like 120 front suspension, and I don't know, it was okay, but it got to a point where it was like you literally like couldn't go at the speed you wanted to. Like you were like just going like a lot slower because the terrain was so bumpy and like just repeated hard fast hits. And like we would like, I mean, the way the terrain is there in North Carolina, like basically like the ride is like you pedal to the top of a mountain and then you go down it, and the descents were so long that like we had to take breaks because we couldn't even like hold onto our bars anymore because our arms were were like just so like pumped out. You know what I mean? In Ohio, but in Ohio, like most trails, you're constantly going down and up the whole ride, but it's like short. It's short uphills, short downhills. So it's like just a different thing.
Rusty was saying Sedona's pretty rad, but you absolutely do not need full squish. Um, I would say Rusty, like, he knows way better than me. He lives out there, but some of the trails I was watching, I couldn't imagine not riding them on full squish. And I'm saying like Terry's not. He doesn't try to claim he's a Red Bull sponsored mountain biker, but he was like these are trails that were humbling me, and he was on full squish, and I watch him do stuff that I would never do. So, and he was talking about these are the double black diamond trails. So it probably depends on which ones you're riding, because he said he rode with his girlfriend the day before around on Sedona, and some of them were not nearly as crazy. So it seems like they have the
Mm.
whole spectrum. Just, you know, what I was watching, some of it, there's no way I would tackle on any bike I own. But, you know,
Mhm.
that's me. So,
Yeah.
how Yonda was saying, not sometimes, all times, full suspension is pointless here. Yeah. Yeah, we have a friend who works at Earthquaker, the guitar pedal company, me and Large Marge and a couple other people who we ride with. But he has like a full on enduro bike, but that's what he does. He travels to go out to a place where you ride the ski lift up and you bomb insane trails down. And that's his thing. It's full on extreme, like crazy riding. And if that's your thing, then yeah, there's bikes that are built for it. Here
Mhm.
you can't even get to East Rim without riding a flat trail, at least a half mile. So, for
Yeah. Do you ever ride the I've only ridden it once. It's the one that's like north on the north side of Cuyahoga. It's Bedford Reservation, I think it is.
I've ridden the bike trails through there, and I've always wanted to go out and ride their mountain bike trails because those look kind of what I'm seem like what I would like. They just look kind of like gradual, flowy up and down type stuff. But I haven't ridden them. I know there's a few people in the chat who have. Have you gone out there and done those at all?
I've only ridden it once, and yeah, it's like really mellow, like not much elevation at all, just pretty much flat. There's it's like pretty twisty. If anybody's ridden John Bryan in Yellow Spring, it reminded me exactly of that place, just like flat, and you're always turning, and it's not really technical, so you can just go really fast, and it's kind of fun because you can like really learn how much you can like turn the bike, like how much you can like turn it sideways and like sort of like feel the edge of the grip. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it was a. I, someone was just bringing up Yellow Springs. I think it is it Roger because I think he lives down that way actually. So it would be he had brought up somewhere in the chat Yellow Springs. But yeah, that's what I thought because even riding that we did my girlfriend's first century ride and we came all the way through Bedford Reservation on their normal bike trails and roads and I was looking where you could see them and I was like this looks like trails that I would really enjoy just like going out there and
Yeah.
kind of riding fast paced. What's
Yeah,
it?
yeah, you could totally ride it on a gravel bike. I think it would kind of be more exciting than a mountain bike, honestly. That's kind of what I was on a mountain bike when I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, Yonda just said Bedford is mountain bike for roadies. So
It is.
yeah,
It absolutely is, yeah.
he was also talking. What he's saying, Pisgah? I don't know how you say it. Pisgah, a day trip.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Pisgah. That's the mountain
Pisgah.
bike trail area in North Carolina I was talking about.
Oh, okay. So that's what. Yeah.
Yeah, so Yonda, yeah, I did ride DuPont, and yeah, those trails are definitely more mellow. If anybody like knows the area, my friend and I rode Kitsuma Trail a couple times, which is in the Black Mountain area, and that was just if like when we went down the downhill part of the mountain, like it literally felt like we were like skydiving. Like it felt like we were just like dropping out of a plane. Like the
Hmm.
the steepness and like speed we were going is so crazy.
See what else there is in the north side of CVNP Brecksville. Yeah. Well, so what Bedford is would be north of Brecksville, but yeah, you would come through both. Um, Pudgy's asking Roger to show him some of the trails this summer, and I was also showing your workshop up here in the background because I love your organization and all your bike tools. Do you do a lot of your own, like when you do conversions, are you doing them a lot yourself?
What conversions? What do you
Well, like if
mean?
you're switching out your forks, switching out your bars, if you were talking about getting
Oh,
that component to go from 11 to 12 speed, do you do a lot of that like in your own shop or do you have shops do that kind of stuff?
yeah. So I do absolutely everything. I do all my own service, like suspension, fork service, everything. I don't know. I just tinker on stuff and I just get kind of obsessed with like learning how to do it. I like working on motorcycles too, and I don't know. I've just always tinkered with stuff like my whole life pretty much. So yeah, I've been working on bikes for years and kind of like learning by trial and error and like looking stuff up online. But I'd say I'm pretty pretty capable shop and skill set at this point to kind of do whatever I need to bikes, like build them from the frame up or really do any service or anything.
Yeah, that's what that you guys have seen. I'm like amateur mechanic where I get it. I feel I get a lot of stuff 85%, and then I still like to have like the professionals like do that last like fine tuning type stuff to my bike to get it to work perfectly well. But yeah, I was looking at
Mhm.
your tool set on the wall there, and I'm like, now you're going beyond that. You wouldn't have that set up if you weren't doing a little more, you know, getting a little.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I just like the feeling of like you're just like so intimately connected with the bike and all the nuances of it when you build it and like you sort of like know how components are supposed to feel and stuff like that. So yeah, I just like that side of it. And being able to fix your bike if it breaks when you're riding is
Yeah,
always good.
That was a big deal to me. I'm like, I fix my own car, I do my own brakes on my own car. And I remember when I got back into cycling, I was like, I'm going to take my old bike to the shop, my old mountain bike, have them do like a once over. And I'm like, that's it. I'm going to pay one time. And then from now on, I'm going to learn how to do like the stuff myself. And I've done a decent job of that. And then, I meet a guy who opens a bike shop, and I'm friends with mechanics now, so it's easy to get a little lazy and lean on them when I need to, But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I definitely like knowing how things work and at least having the idea, at least being able to get it there. Like something breaks on the road, yeah, you could get yourself home,
Mhm.
carrying a chain
I feel
tool, yeah.
I feel like the like trickiest sort of like knowledge piece about bikes is like compatibility and measurements. Like because like just no parts are like compatible essentially. Like you just have to know all these like bizarre like millimeter measurements and just like stuff like that. But the actual like if all the parts are compatible, like actually like assembling them and like maintenance doing maintenance isn't that hard, but it's like just standards and like compatibility I feel like is the like nerdiest part about building bikes.
Yeah, that's like one of the frustrating things with modern stuff. And, you had that to an
Yeah.
element with the old stuff with like, French threading, Swiss threading, the English standard. But in general, when you were building friction shifting bikes, you could pretty much cross stuff a lot, And
Hmm.
now there's, yeah, like I said, I was watching even the 11 speed Shimano stuff, the cable routing, even around the front derailleur. I was like, that's not super simple stuff anymore. That's now become like something that you
Yeah.
need to take it real slow by pausing a YouTube video over and over again, or saving yourself a ton of effort and having a mechanic do it. Whereas the nine, that's why I love 9 speed Shimano because it's so simple. Like I've
Yeah.
put it on a number of vintage bikes, no problems. But
Yeah, I actually I run on my mountain bike. I run a Microshift Advent 9 speed, but it's a wide range. And the reason I do that is because I rode like 11 speed on mountain bikes for years, and I found that when I was shifting on the trails, I would shift two or three times to get in the gear I wanted. And with 9 speed, you're shifting so much less because there's so much less gears, but the jumps are like way bigger, especially on like a really wide range cassette. So for like normal, like, gravel or pavement riding, it wouldn't be good because the jumps are huge. But on a mountain bike, I really like it. I have like a 11 to 46 9 speed cassette on my mountain bike, and I just hit it like one, maybe two times, and it's like actually in the gear I want instead of like just like mashing the shifter like three or four times to get into the gear I want.
yeah, that makes total sense because I feel that where you push through the gears so fast on a mountain bike, and
Mm,
my actual mountain bike is only 3x8, I believe. So I
mhm.
should probably say goodbye to you because with Ben it kicked him off exactly at an hour, and we're about 2 minutes
Okay,
away from
yeah,
there. So instead of just
cool.
having you go full robot, but yeah, this was awesome, and I think like I was saying, we'll circle back around and do more of these. Anyone else who wants to jump on over the next few weeks, but then we could do this, again. And I thought it'd be interesting those podcasts you shared in the pro
Mhm.
cycling channel on the Discord. I've been listening to those and I found those really interesting, and I thought those would make for an interesting conversation as well. I think
Yeah,
I'm not sure how many people are interested in pro cycling, but I think that's also one of the issues, and what they were talking about there is why aren't they? So, you know, yeah,
yeah,
everything cycling I'm interested in talking about. So, anyways, well, thanks for coming on.
yeah, for sure, man.
I'd see you on the Discord.
All right, later.
All right, guys. Yeah. So, like I was saying, let's keep doing this. I think Rick's gonna come on Thursday, but yeah. So we'll go through all the members and then come back around. Anybody beyond? Yeah, it's fun to do it this way, like to have a full on conversation instead of just me blabbing at you guys. So I think I've said most of the things I possibly could say. Sorry, I was not keeping up in the chat because I think we were having a good conversation. We were kind of paying attention. If I missed something specific you guys asked, I know Kayak asked about saddles. Whenever I talk about saddles, I'm all about the B17 Brooks saddle. But, you know, yeah. Pudgy said Dylan is a lot more interesting than Tim. Yeah, well, and it's like I said, we'll give everybody a chance, every member a chance to come on, but then we'll definitely circle back around and yeah, keep it interesting like that. Why not? If we're going to keep doing this, especially through, you know, into the summer or whenever. But yeah, trying to jump back in and see what else we missed. How Rusty was saying, man, I want you all to come out here for some gravel adventures. You know, you out, Roger? Well, why don't we, I'll get my thoughts back together. And Roger always reminds me when he says goodbye, it's a good chance to thank everyone for the, like I was just talking about the members. Why don't we do that? We'll grab a beer, piddle break time for everybody. This is a 2-minute video, so the chat will still be going live, but we'll be right back. We are going to take a quick break here. Let's first thank the members, though. They really do help make this channel better in every way. If you want to add your name to this list, there is a link in the chat right now and also below this video. It is really appreciated. Like I said, it will help make the channel better in every way, but you also do get some special perks. There are extra videos, more content, discount on swag, and a few other things. Check out the link if you're interested. We do appreciate any support here, though, so if you're just tuning in to watch for a little while, you know, hit the like button. They say it helps out. But yeah, any kind of support, whether you've ever, you know, bought a piece of swag, done a super chat, but even just watching is good enough. I appreciate it. I really have fun doing this, so I'm glad we have a little community here. Also, take this chance again to say join us in the Discord. That's become a really cool thing, too. We'll be back in about a minute, but one more time, thanks to the members.
It's always quiet when you never want, and our love has been here before.
Yonda, I did not turn that back in time to have it do the big, awesome graphic, but thanks for joining. So, Yonda joined at the 105 level, and usually there would be a big on-screen graphic that was supposed to be there during even the new members video, and I don't know why it didn't come on. Sorry, man. But, well, you still have your name on screen, at least. But you didn't get the fancy overlay. Sorry about that. I'm gonna click to the new members video real quick to see why that's not showing. We are gonna take a quick break here. Oh, there we go.
Rusty Shackelford became a member.
Thanks, Rusty. We got a couple new members tonight. Well, Yonda's been on live, so actually IRL. Dylan said he's a catheter kind of guy. I didn't get any audio. Did you guys get audio from that? when he joined, I didn't like. It's going to look into this issue while we're talking. Latest member. Okay, let's see. Oh, you guys did. Okay. Sorry. Yep. Like I say, I got a lot going on with these things, trying to make everything work right. I'll beat him off with both hands. Oh shit! I just saw a video where I should be more like an Amazon employee, right? You know, I'll give birth right here. Oh, it was hella British. Good. Okay, we did get the voice. Yeah, Cockney accent. That's what I wanted. Yes. Yeah, I don't. Sometimes it's a little frustrating because you don't know what's going to happen until you do it. Like it's showing. Oh, there it is. As long as it worked the second time. Whoops. There we go. So wait, for this, now it should be... Good, good, good. Well, I appreciate you guys. You'll be added to that pedal break graphic, which I need to change anyways, because it turns out that song is copyrighted. So it said it wasn't when I downloaded it, but it is. But that's one of the things too with this whole the members thing is I'm going to get a music subscription, so all the music, unless I get it from my friends when I trade it to them, will be, you know, stuff I could use on the channel. So trying to read everything, catch up. So one of the things I was talking about too is getting back to doing like the shop nights. So this white thing on my sleeve is bothering me. Rusty was asking what I'm drinking. It's an Insane Wanderer by Columbus Brewing. I'll go this way. But yeah, so like I was saying, get the computer built up. So I would really like to do like the guest thing, like whatever day, Tuesday, and then the shop thing Thursday. But so I came up with my idea for the next project. So me and Large Marge both had a couple Miatas. I was given a Miata and it was way too small for me. It was like a maroon Miata, but it was like a 52, 54, and then he had like I think a 58 in the exact same model. So we just traded them. And it's been sitting, when I do the live streams from the basement, from the shop, you've probably seen it. It's up on the wall behind me. And I got the idea. I'm like, you know, the only thing I've never had is like a single speed. And then I'm like, I also don't have anything that's like a cruiser. So when I stopped in the shop tonight on my way to get our beers and meet Aaron, Otis had a one side single speed, one side fixie wheel that he let me have. It was down in the basement. And then he also had these bars. So something more like upright and chill. So I was thinking that's the project we could work on. And so that's a 16 tooth, get this back, 16 tooth on the rear. And I have that old, I have that cyclocross bike that has a single ring that's actually guarded. So I need to see what the, how big of a gear that is, but I have all kinds of other stuff that we could put together, and I was thinking it would be fun to have you guys, like, we'll go down there the first time, and you guys could help me figure out what should go onto this bike out of my parts bin build, and then we could, over a couple weeks, actually put it together with some advice, and then maybe even do some of the live ones. Maybe have Pudgy like on to give me live advice on how to do it. So, yeah, fun project that I think we can do from the basement. So now those bars are a party. Oh, the artwork looks sweet on that can. Yeah, it is really cool. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, me and Aaron picked up the hoof hearted from Columbus, but I was actually, she drove, I was on my bike, so she brought all the parts home and picked up dinner, and then I forgot to grab a couple of the beers, fancy beers, so we'll end up drinking those this weekend, which is probably better because they were all super strong, and whoops. As you guys know, I don't need super strong beers on this stream. Let's see. Oh, you almost got Bodie. I almost got Bodie too. And then I've had Bodie, which I love Bodie, but I've had by Columbus Brewing as well. But yeah. Well, but this one said they were right next to each other. Rusty said, all right, my wife's grandma always says piddle, and she's never heard anyone else say that. What would you all use for number 2? Shit. Super shatting, obviously. Kayak says he has a coaster brake bike that he picked up for $15. Nice. Pudgy says he charges by the inch of the hour. First option is way cheaper. Rick says a number 2 is a poodle. Nice. Streamers for these bars? Oh, you're calling them, yeah. That's the point too. And like Otis was saying, with my sciatica, like last summer, like I said, my road bike, which is a Schwinn Peloton that's built up with 9-speed Durace. I never got on it all summer because my back and my leg was so bad. And so he's like, yeah, old man, when you're hurting, then you could sit up here and just, I do want a bike that's just like kind of like goofy and fun. And why not build something different? Like, especially since I have all the parts and I have friends who could give me parts for, well, I would say nothing, but I obviously promote Dirty River, and there is a trade-off we have going there as well. But come back. There we go. A doopy. The Pee Wee Herman build, yeah. Get all that. That Pee Wee Herman bike must have weighed. Don't they actually have that in Pittsburgh? What's that, Bicycle Heaven? Bicycle Heaven, yeah. Stopped in there. They have people go there, and on the first floor of Bicycle Heaven in Pittsburgh, they have like some cool stuff, but like on the second floor is where there was like some really cool vintage road bikes up at there. But Rick says tilt the saddle down. That's like Schwinn Varsity bars. Hey, what's up, Gary? If I didn't say hi earlier, or if that's your first comment. Yeah, the one thing he had these. He also had some Nitto. We've talked about this before, whether it's Nitto or Nitto, and I can't remember. But mustache bars. But I don't have a really long stem, and since this is like a bike boom Miata, so fairly high tensile steel, and sheet metal dropouts. So the geometry is going to still be a little aggressive. So I wanted something to get my hands even higher. So those mustache bars wouldn't have even had kind of the rise on them. And I don't want to put a lot of money into this. This is something I just want to build and have. We were talking about the pub bike, the bar bike. That's the kind of the goal here, to be like sitting fairly upright, cool vintage frame, but Nitto, not Nitto. Okay, Nitto. They are ugly as sin, but they are comfy. Kayak says for your back, try, of course, I'll butcher this too, reishi mushroom and also astragalus root. Astragalus root. I do have a whole routine of exercises I now do. Lanky was talking to about certain yoga stuff, and that's even the chiropractors. The first one I was going to, some of the stuff, and I do it at least every other day, and it helps. The problem with the site, so what I did is I pinched something in the back, and I couldn't do the exercises I had been doing, and that's kind of what flared up the sciatica. So my not being able to do my normal routine is what brought the sciatica back, which has always been a problem. But yeah. Yeah, it's kind of what Dylan's saying too. Yoga and core work is good for the back. And that's what a lot of, everyone I talk to between the like the first time I had sciatica, I was running a lot and I was doing half marathons. And it's not long after me and Large Marge started riding together. So they were kind of saying everything is local motion that I do. Everything is just this. And I had no side to side activity. And when the sciatica came in, that's what a lot of people were doing is more co-work, more core work, more side to side work. And the one thing that I have found is the best is just like laying on my side and doing just the scissor lifts or like clamshell lifts, just to strengthen those side muscles. When I used to do a lot of trail running, cross country and stuff like that, it didn't affect me as much. I think a lot of the problem is just that, just very straightforward, repetitive motion stuff. I'm laughing at all these comments right now. I find, even just that kind of stuff, which they recommended, getting off the bike and doing that. And when I did Ohio to Erie, that was helpful, but also a ton of Advil. Advil is better than, you could mask some pain with the harder stuff like Oxycontin and stuff like that, but Advil actually was my friend this summer a lot, which, with the stomach stuff, I made sure I always ate some food, drank a ton of water, but new Friday stream with Pudgy. I got it. Besides Robin, you guys didn't post a lot of ride pics this week. Well, actually, Gary had his lunch ride photo, which looks like you guys. It's Fuji. What? 12 miles, 10 miles an hour. Oh yeah, then JMZ, is he still in here? That's a specialized Diverge he finally got out on, which is, I think that was the Diverge, right? Let's see what else did I. Oh yeah, me and Lanky were talking about this. He's still in here, I think. I actually ended up subscribing to GCN Plus, even though I get most of the pro races covered through Flow Bikes and NBC Sports Gold, which is going away. But that GCN Plus, already just like scrolling through their app, they have a lot of cool documentaries that are up my alley, and I think a few of you would be interested, like ones with Calnago, ones on Columbus tubing, some on endurance riding. Not all like, GCN in general, like as the YouTube channel, a lot of the stuff I don't pay that much attention to anymore because it's so roadie oriented in the way they do stuff. But the GCN Plus stuff, I think there's only one day left. It's $26. I I think there's going to be a lot of. There's already 100 documentaries in there, which is worthwhile. But then even next weekend, I think they're the only ones who actually have the opening of the Cabo Classic season, which is no, they don't have it. They're the only ones who have Strada Bianchi, I think. But yeah, next week's Umloop, Hot Newsblad, however you pronounce that. But when I think of like what I spent $24 on, 2 6-packs already has me at $23. Totally worth it, I think. And they also have the Giro, and I guess they're also working on apps for smart TVs because, like I said, I watch everything on a Fire TV. So that's one thing I wrote down. I'm like, no one needs to be a shill for GCN. They do really well. They're owned by Discovery. I don't know if you guys know that. So they're, not some small YouTube upstart, but I feel like they're delivering on what they are charging for more than that. So, oh, Lanky just threw up a picture of, oh, is this your ride to the slopes with your skis? Let's get. One, that's an awesome photo. Two, that looks intense. Us kids and our TVs. Pudgy doesn't even use any. Pudgy, I'm like gonna send you a $200 laptop. Backcountry expo. Oh, just so like you were just like riding around and like doing like some skiing wherever you like ride up and ski down type stuff. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, Rusty, you're in the guard, so you couldn't be out riding him. That does look like an Orly backpack. I probably pronounced that wrong too. Pudgy drives me crazy with his looking at everything on his phone. One, I hate working on a phone. Like we were talking about, me and Dylan, like I'm a double monitor guy here. I also have a laptop, but then I have I can't remember how big the smart Fire TV is, but it was like, and this was now 3 years ago, and I say only loosely, but $300 to be able to work here and watch racing in the morning or whatever it may be. Yeah. You have a MacBook Air in the laundry basket somewhere. Uh, you're my absolute opposite when it comes to technology. Yeah, I am a screen guy. I want a full keyboard. I want a mouse. But then again, you Mac guys are, one button, tiny screens are just kind of the thing. No touch screen. Rick said he liked the thumbnail for tonight. Oh, thanks. Yeah. I think I've told this story. So the studio, like where I'm standing, is a storefront with the classic, like, big plate glass windows. I have them all blocked off. As you've probably seen in some of my video, I have like a kind of a cool old cloth flag hanging here. But the other side is all glass block because a car accident actually crashed through the old 1920s storefront at some point, and the guy bought the building off of replaced it all with glass. So most of the day, it's just beautiful light. So if I just need a quick like selfie, which way predates doing YouTube thumbnails, but like it's just this awesome, beautiful light that comes through that glass block. So I could just hold up a camera or set it on the table I have over there. But Rick says pronounced Art Lib. What are you guys talking about? I thought this was in your house. I think I missed one. Oh, Rusty, you thought like these are from my these? Well, if I misunderstood, so if Rusty thought I was filming from my house, it technically is I live in my studio. So I've talked about this before. My studio is in a like it must have been an old you know stop on the streetcar line. So it's like a row, like think of New York City or Boston or whatever. It's a strip of storefronts with like row houses, upstairs apartments, like the kind where the owner would have lived above the storefront. And my photography studio is the photographer I used to work for bought two storefronts and put them together on the first floor and rented out both. Well, he used to use one side as an office when photography was really making money. I really met him by helping him convert it back into an apartment. So there's two apartments, one first floor, two basements, and then I build an apartment into the back of one side of the storefront. So yeah, so my studio is my home. I moved in when he still owned it, and I paid him rent to live here and rent to use all the photography gear. And then a year ago, September, I bought both buildings off of him. So now I rent to two tenants, the one above here, the one on the other side, and then I rent to another photographer who uses the studio with me, and we share not cameras but all the lighting gear and the studio space. So I love this situation. I have a mortgage. The mortgage is covered by the three rents, but then I still have the bills are covered by my business on heating and stuff like that, which I love because it's all radiant heat. Underneath these cameras is like a 10-foot long radiator, and I love radiant heat. It's so nice. But Pudgy says, Tim, let me know if your tenant ever moves out. Yeah. Yeah, Rusty, yeah, the space in the, Rust Belt, industrial Midwest is stuff like this, which is really cool and not that expensive. I think I put the mortgage on $160,000 and put a down payment down of $15,000. So I think I paid $175 total, which is not cheap. But if this was New York or Boston or Chicago or even Columbus these days, it would be, you could imagine that would be a way higher number. So yeah, radiant heat, Rick, it's like everything is warm to the touch, which is so different than forced air and why I love it. So mine's hot water, it's not steam, which is even better because steam is nice, but it's a pain if you have a problem or a leak. But I just love that effect that like your floors are warm, your walls are warm. It's just a totally different feeling than, And that was the thing too. Since I worked for the guy I bought the building off of, and I bought it directly from him, so there's no bank involved. I knew what all the upgrades were. So even with the radiant heat, our boilers are modern boilers that are like, you know, small, 3 by 2 feet. They're not the giant old school 1920s boilers that this building would have had, when it was built. So. Oh, Rusty used to live in Lakewood. Yeah, yeah. So same kind of situation, same kind of era as this is. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's nice. So we worked out a deal which I didn't know about, but the lawyer that we hooked up to try and write a land contract told us about, where I bought the building up front off of him, but he's basically the bank, the old owner, lending me the money. So I put down a down payment and then I pay him that on it and an interest schedule. But as far as the county, the reverse of a land contract, which is kind of like rent to own, like I actually own all the building. It's like I own it up front. But there's no bank or anything. Like I just have my account set up to auto pay him every month with the interest schedule. And then there's no penalty if I pay it off early. And it's only a 12-year plan. So someone like me who has been a farmer, a car wash manager, a freelance photographer, videographer. As you can imagine, I don't have a lot in, like people have 401ks and retirement saving. I don't. So this building is the asset that I'm looking forward to, to having as my future planning. So, it's also a 1920s building that I have to do a lot of maintenance on. So, you out, Dylan? Awesome. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the Discord. You out, Lanky, too? See you guys. Lanky, link your Discord to the YouTube so we can have you on here as well. It'd be fun to have some live chats, but yeah. But also there's members channels. Since you're a member, get on there, Lanky. Oh, I still have that. There we go. Mac, please not be a YouTube vulva. I don't know what that means. They can bury me in the yard too. Yeah. Matthew says his future plan is a Scandinavian prison. I hear they're nice. Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I hope no one takes any of this as like, as the kids say, a flex. I think I'm very transparent, and that's what I've always been. I hope whatever that comment meant, or anyone else wasn't like thinking I'm trying to sound cool. This is just my story, and that's what I tell on my YouTube channel. So, yeah. Very nice from what Pudgy hears about the Scandinavian prisons. Oh, Rick was asking, and someone asked earlier about Pathless Pedaled. Yeah, hitting 100,000. And, well, that was fun, too. One, a lot of us who are in the stream tonight jumped over there and were congratulating him, which I thought was really cool. Because, like I was saying with Dylan, like, I like every aspect of cycling, and Pathless Pedaled is a huge influence. I didn't know who he was when I started making videos, so he's not an influence on my video style, but on my cycling style. I really like, what he recommends when he talks about tires. Like, the one night when a bunch of us were in there when he was interviewing Jan Hein from Bicycle Quarterly, like just his vibe and the party pace attitude and all that kind of stuff is huge, and I think it's the way a lot of us like to ride. Sometimes, I still like the roadie aspect. I do like to, we do race each other and all that kind of stuff. I like everything, you know what I mean? So, like I said, like the next plan is to build a total chill bike that's not supposed to do anything but be totally, pub bike. But yeah. Rusty was asking, how do you link the Discord and YouTube in the membership? I think I could probably just show that, actually, for those of you who haven't. So, if you're on a desktop, it's down there in that little settings wheel. So, where it says Fitzwater Photo 3802, it probably says your name. And if you go to that gear wheel, that's where you will do it. If you're on a phone, it's a totally different process. And I know that Rick and Pudgy were saying it was a little more convoluted, but I know I've done it on there too. One of my plans that I haven't done it yet is for members, there's supposed to be an intro video, and I just haven't put it together yet. So I'm going to do like a step-by-step of how you do it on both and where the features are for everything, but I haven't done it yet. But yeah, you can link it. And if you notice in the Discord, So if you are a member, the names show up in different colors that are color coded to what level of membership you are, and that opens up this a members channel, and then a chat, and then the co-host channel that we now have. So, and like I said, this is not like I'm not taking anything away from the YouTube channel by having the memberships. It's all like on top. It's extra and above. Anything that happens with that is a, you know, just adding stuff. So it's not required. You don't need to do it. But YouTube allows me to do it. So I have, by YouTube standards, I have to add perks for members. And that's what that is. So, yeah. Totally not necessary. Totally appreciate it if you do. Anybody who does it, like I've said before, it all goes right back into the channel. So thanks, Broadford. I appreciate it. Matthew was saying he met them in Philly at the expo a few years ago. Awesome event. Can't wait till the Bike Expo. Okay, so yeah, I saw it. Looked like it said Nike. Yeah. Yeah, I know Large Marge was saying he kind of hoped to meet him at Frostbite, but that he didn't run into him. I think he was saying. Didn't see him out there, but yeah. Yeah, I just love that kind of down to earth mentality that Russ and Laura on Pathless Pedal have, and it's just like making cycling accessible to as many people as possible. You know, not doing everything from trying to influence from pro cycling down. And I say that as somebody who loves pro cycling, but so many people are just people who own a bike, not people who consider themselves cyclists, you know. And I think that's to grow everything we care about, to grow bike lanes, to grow respect for people who ride their bikes on the road, is that's where we need to be focusing our attention. Most of the people in this chat, we're all going to ride our bikes wherever we want. We need to broaden this so we could all have better infrastructure and, you know. How did Yonda say he couldn't figure it out? Okay. Philly Bike Expo is awesome. Mostly mom and pop companies, great people. That's good to hear. Yeah. All right, I see you in here. It looks like you figured it out, Yonda. So Yonda's got into the, yeah. Yeah, you got the color-coded name, so you're in Yonda. Yeah. Yeah, where's Interbike at? I can't remember. I know I've seen videos from Interbike. Rick says Philly sucks. It's funny because Rick, Philly is like bucket list for me because one, the history, a lot of people say it's a lot like New York City, but also the museum there. I'm a huge fan of. Got his books on my shelf and now my name goes blank. But the photographer who kind of got away from pictorialism. The Philly Museum has a huge collection of this photographer stuff, and I'm drawing a blank on my favorite photographer's name, regardless. But yeah, so Philly's high on my list of place I want to visit for a number of reasons. But everyone's opinion of where they're from, right, is always different. Oh, Vegas, Interbike's in Vegas, and Yonda's saying Interbike is dead. Well, this is what I'm saying with everything that's happened this year. I'm wondering how many trade shows, and not just in what we're talking about. Like, I'm a camera guy. Like, a lot of the camera trade shows started to get canceled before COVID, and even before COVID, some of them started to go every other year. But now with like, and it's already been around, but YouTube and stuff like that. You know, today Sony just dropped a new camera, and Rode Microphones just dropped a really cool wireless mic product. All the YouTubers have it in their hand. They all test it out. They're under embargo, and then today all my streams get launched with all these products. And the same thing happens in the cycling world. So I just wonder now, with everyone getting used to doing all this online, how many trade shows in any industry are ever going to happen again? Is every newspaper who has to pay to send a journalist or cycling specific or industry specific trade magazine, you know, all this stuff, every YouTuber who would have to pay for their travel to get out to this place if that's how they make their money and all this stuff, like, I think like the trade show in general is probably dead, right? I mean, it's unfortunate because I think like when you're talking about mom and pop shops, they're the ones who could buy a booth and they probably get the biggest pull out of it. It doesn't matter to Trek, right? The Trek, it's a tiny line item. They can be there. They could bring all their latest technology, but everyone's going to know about it anyways. I think the loss is going to be for the, the custom frame builder who can't send every YouTuber a bike. You know what I mean? The camera industry does not need trade shows anymore. They're archaic. It's unfortunate. I would love to be able to justify going to them and traveling and seeing all this stuff firsthand. It's ridiculous. I don't need it. I watch YouTube just like everybody else, just like we're all doing right now. But I think in something like cycling, that might be unfortunate where there might be a piece of gear or someone smaller that is doing something that might be able to catch on, and they're kind of missing out on that, getting those eyeballs on it where it could be. But in general, why would anybody spend the money, Paul Strand, exactly. Thank you. That was killing me. I'm so glad. Paul Strand is the photographer I was talking about that the Philly Museum has a big collection of. We have a really good gallery in Canton, Ohio, which is about a half hour south of here, and they have some of his work. And it goes, as a photographer, prints are still different than digital. Like my screen does not look the same as a true print, but if you make, so Matthew's saying too, if you make your expo, about community, and also add community events then too. So make it a worthwhile thing, like have bike rides, have stuff that matters. Like, those, I'm not saying those one-on-one connections don't matter, because when me and Ben, Large Marge, were in Rochester, when we had ridden from Buffalo to Rochester, we went into Campus Cycles there, and the guy who owned the shop remembered Otis, who owns Dirty River, from the trade show. And so like those personal connections do matter. So I'm not saying they don't, but when you look at the costs, they're going to become harder and harder to justify. And COVID just accelerated something that was already happening, right? So yeah, the hand build shows, like I get it, and I want someone to pay me to go around to all these cool things too. So I'm not, hating. I'm just being honest, right? Rick was saying after COVID, post-COVID, there might be an economic boom. I read an article in the New York Times today that was kind of saying something similar. And I think there probably will be. It's very dependent, though, on how fast do things come back, Are people catching up from where they were behind and it levels off? But, yeah. Trying to catch them on the comments again, so. Oh, Campus Wheelwork shout out, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We were all, and I think a lot of people I was talking to, we were talking about this idea of like, COVID's going to change the world in ways that we don't even know yet. I mean, like, it's interesting for me because I was just, I went to a walkthrough on Monday morning for the Akron Chamber of, well, it was for a firm that's doing work for the Akron Chamber of Commerce, and it was going to be to do a headshot session out there. But when I was talking to the woman who was their marketing media firm and stuff, we were talking about that, and I was saying, like I was talking to Dylan earlier, like event photography was 80% of my business probably. And some of it I loved, some of it I didn't like, but it doesn't matter. Now 80% of my business is videography. Like, I'm really lucky that I taught myself this skill and had this skill to be able to transition, to be able to say yes when people said, can you do our live stream? Can you put together this video package we're going to make as a live stream? But I think it's going to be interesting to see. Events are going to come back. There are going to be corporate events again and stuff like that. But just an example of like where stuff is going to shift in ways that we don't know yet. And it'll be really interesting to see how stuff rebounds in different ways, Oh, hey, what's up, Chuckles? He said he always wanted to attend CES. Yeah, and there's a rumor that CES may never come back. They've talked about that too. But yeah, it's interesting too with so just reading some of your comments, people who have like a good, who know how to work the social media stuff in the right way and not in a over salesy way and stuff like that, who do have a good product that is small and niche and market it well because it's good and it's what people need, are able to get ahead. Because there didn't used to be it used to be buy a booth at a trade show and hope a journalist or hope a bike shop see it. But now there's also a broader spectrum. And would you invest your money in sending an employee who couldn't be at your small shop to be gone for a week? Or would you invest that employee in like create cool content, cool videos, cool, social media campaigns to get the word out to the right people, I'm not saying I don't know the answer, but Chuckle says he thinks things are going to pick up fast. Broadford was saying online commerce is taking a huge jump. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I mean, I miss a lot of the corporate and charity events are how I've made a lot of really good friends and met really good people, but also made a lot of my money, so. Trying to think of. Oh yeah, totally shift gears. I should. So I'll be interested in what you guys think of tomorrow's video. It comes out at 7. So this is Erin building her first wheel, but the video I made is just totally artsy. It's not a how-to build a wheel at all. It's basically a music video. I did something similar with my friend Micah when he was screen printing all the Fitzwater photography shirts. So it's basically like a 2-minute, 30-second like B-roll montage. And I'm really proud of it. I did a ton of sound design on it and stuff like that. But I'll be interested to see what like you guys who show up to the live stream and watch my videos think. I think a lot of people are going to click on it thinking they're going to not, who are not like regulars, thinking it's going to be a how to build a wheel and they will not like it. But I'll be super interested to see how you guys feel about it. But I think it's very cool. I think Rick will probably like it. I think Pudgy will like it. But honest opinions, and it's not gonna. I made it because it's what I want to make, and that's why I do stuff. Like I said, it will directly influence my commercial work. It's like a lot of speed ramping and stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to see what you guys think. Kayaks out. Good night, man. Yeah, have a good night. Matthew said I have to give tours of Rust. I would love ask Large Marge. I would love to give tours of the area because even tonight we're riding the way home and we see that there's all this construction going on down from the bike shop into the Cuyahoga Valley, the little Cuyahoga Valley. And there's a what's called the Crosby Mill Race, and it's like that's where Quaker Oats, the companies that are 4 generations pre-Quaker Oats, was started. And it's like I can't help myself from nerding out and bringing up all that stuff. So yeah, anyone wants to come up here and have a history tour of Akron on the industrial gravel, post-COVID, you'll get more than you bargained for. So. I was thinking, oh, nice. Chuckles too. You jumped into the Discord server. Yeah, it's fun conversation over there. Just if the push notifications are too much, just turn them off and jump in whenever you want. That goes for everybody, as I always say. Like, turn off all your social media push notifications. Just go to that stuff when you want to look at it. But Discord, I set it up so it should only ping you if someone at you, as you know, whatever you pronounce that as. But industrial grabbing wrecking crew shirts made, yeah. Photo tours, yeah. I think what we need, so Large Marge makes a route, and then I just follow him, and I just like, I nail you with all kinds of historical facts along the route that Large Marge comes up with. But then, yeah, we could definitely, it would be very photographic. We have lots of cool stuff to take photos of over here. I feel like there was one other thing I wanted to bring up. Like, I'm just going with the flow on the conversation and rambling, but I feel like there was just something of specific interest that we would all. I think I went through the list. Maybe not. Dude, by the way, though, how badass was Dylan's scooter riding? Like, I need to drop that link. Did I leave that up here? Ah, I just hit the X. I literally opened up the page and then accidentally hit the X to close it. I'll pull up his website again and I'll drop those links in the Discord. But man, I was blown away when I watched that because I'm like, well, we all chatted and I kind of have a feel for who he is, but not entirely. And then I'm like watching, and I'd watched a lot of the videos he had edited for Express. And then I got to the other stuff, and I had watched some of the stuff he had done for that. Is it? I'm drawing a blank now. It's Trill or whatever, the scooter company. Then the one I realized, I'm like, this is actually Dylan riding, and I was like, holy shit, this dude is amazing. Like, this is like, I don't know a lot about this world of stuff, but I do know about skateboarding and cycling, and this is top level. Like, this is, there's no way there's people who are way better than this. So yeah. Large Marge said, I didn't think scooters could be cool until that. Exactly. That's, and I had nothing against them. It's just something I wasn't aware. I know when people started, like, on the original Razor scooter trend, started doing, like, freestyle with them, and I saw, like, one, you know, some kids do, like, the 360 where they kick the scooter around. Like I said, I grew up with a neighbor who was sponsored doing that on those old pneumatic scooters. But then I watched his stuff, and I was like, no, this looks like cool. And yeah, like Large Marge said, I didn't know it could look that cool. Like, holy shit. Yeah. I could give divorcees photo lessons, tours, bike rides. I don't know, man. I I think Rick, you just named a business you should be doing, and you're in Philly there. That's probably. Yeah. So also in our conversation, I was asking Dylan a little bit, starting off about the editing stuff because super interesting to me, and I know Pudgy and Rick are, old school shooters and stuff like that, and we're on YouTube. A lot of us are interested in videography, anything, but I didn't even get into like even the picture in the thumbnail. And on his website, he's done a lot. It looks like large format and some black and white photography, and some of the portrait stuff he's done on film looks like it's surrounding the scooter scene, which was really interesting too from his website. And so I think like I said, there's a number of things to talk about. He's a super interesting dude, obviously, but I wouldn't mind talking more about the pro cycling thing like we were chatting about at the end, but also I'd be interested in talking to him, in which, like I said, I had it written down, but I like to let the conversations go where they go. But I'm more interested too in some of his photography stuff. As you guys know on this channel, I used to do a lot of film photography stuff, and when the weather gets nicer, some of that's going to come back. And like I said, always say, if you don't care about it, just skip those videos. But they're, I do really, I was really interested in that, kind of aspect and talking about that at some point too. So. Yonda said, "Where's the video?" Let me find the link again, and I'll drop it in here. But it's not that far back, and I could keep chatting. Then Pudgy was saying we need to do a Rays day. I'm afraid of Rays. I feel like I'm gonna break a bone if I ever go to Rays mountain bike park, indoor mountain biking. Here we go. I got the link. So that's Dylan's website. The first few videos on the homepage are like the express stuff he does, and super cool stuff. But if you scroll down a little bit to the, it's Tilt. Yeah, Tilt. So here's the actual. I could play the YouTube video again if you guys didn't see it. I'll just throw it on in the background. There's no reason not to. Because it's really badass. So this is an advertisement for glow-in-the-dark handlebar grips, basically. But I think Rays let you ride anything. It's not like a velodrome where they make you ride like a track bike. And they have all different levels, from what I've seen. Oh, Matthew, I didn't know your background was cinema. I would definitely be interested in Columbus. Matthew, Dylan's in Columbus. So what he was saying is like the scooter stuff is what got him into videography. And that's what I was flipping at. Rock and roll, local music, indie music is what got me into photography. And but he said he was sponsored for 10 years, which, yeah. And now you could see why. I mean, and the one video too they had on here is like all shot on like old film. But you can see how good the editing is here too with this going to the music. Let me know about the levels if that's okay. Oh, Yonda, you said they were very strict on having brakes and no drop bars. I didn't know that about Rays. So. Large Marge, I'm ignoring your comment. Oh, Matthew, you work as a DP in NYC. No way. Oh, awesome. Levels are good. Oh yeah. Oh, and in Paris. Well, those are my two favorite cities in the world, New York and Paris. So that's really badass. Yeah. See, I didn't know this. No audio on the clip? Too low? It's just music, background music, but and a little bit of ambient audio. Let me know if that still works. Yeah, definitely Matthew, definitely very skateboard video style. Super fisheye. I'm not answering that comment either. I pulled up the value on the clip a little bit. Let me know if that. Yeah, I didn't realize that scooter culture got to this level of like people being this good at it, and it's not a comment on it. It's like I had no idea. Like, Chuck Taylor's and Vans Old Schools, which are the only two shoes that me and my friends have ever worn. So it's funny. You're one or the other. You're either the Vans Old School guys, which I've worn since I was 17, or like my friend Josh was always the Chuck Taylor's guys, and that's the only shoes he ever wore. I think director of photography predates double penetration as a term, for the record. So Matthew, you're in New York City right now. Yeah, even that like bad fisheye where it's obviously a filter over the, not a filter. Well, yeah, like a filter effect over it is very 90s skateboard culture. I mean, when new school skating really like double kickflips and 360 kickflips first came into popularity, it was popping one of those over your camera that was like the total aesthetic, you know. Oh, Matthew, you're a Vans guy. Yeah. Oh, you're in Brooklyn. Awesome. Yeah, I got back the summer before COVID. Did a little cycling. Can't believe how much New York changed, especially like the Lower East Side in Manhattan. Oh yeah, Terry Stream. That's right. Yeah, we've talked about this. I said I'm very forgetful, but it all comes back when I. YouTube has your government name. Let me, in case I haven't, I'll write that down so I can make sure to check everything else out. Yeah, it's interesting because a big reason on YouTube I used to like watching a lot of Casey Neistat stuff was just New York City was a huge character in his vlogs, you know, like I just absolutely love I love New York City. It's like nothing else in the world. And then when Large Marge turned me on to Casey, all right, Terry B, it was like kind of filled that void for me, but then also had more of like what I'm into, which is cycling. So Chuck's in the hands. Like, the scooter thing is interesting because it's a lot like skateboarding, but then the handlebars add like that freestyle cycling element into the mix. But pink against purple. NYC is dead, don't come here. Yeah. It was wild though when lockdown first hit and Terry was like ripping through Times Square and stuff like that and just being like, whoo. But then like some of those like but then when he was going out on like the BLM rides and everything like that, and they were like 10 miles long through the whole city of Manhattan, it was amazing to see. Oh, you live right by Prospect Park, Broadford, when you went to culinary school. Pudgy hates New York City. He's from Boston. Well, it makes sense that I love New York City and Boston. Well, I love Boston on the historical level. It's the only problem with Boston is everyone says are the people. You know. Pudgy, you don't seem very Boston-like though, because yeah, Boston. People from Boston are usually just so over the top and just talk over you so much. I don't know. Yeah, Prospect Park. They have the farmers market. I think we went to the last time I was there. Went to the farmers market in Prospect Park. My girlfriend, she's transitioned. She's doing something. She's working in food access now, but she was a farm market manager when I met her. So when we went to France, when we went to Paris, and then to some of the small towns in Provence and stuff like that, like we went to a lot of farmers market because she wanted to see them, and she actually made connections and talked to people. But then when we went to New York, we did a lot of the kind of, that is my thing, being like some of the things we needed to do were cycling related and photography related. Some of her interests were seeing the markets and stuff like that. I always say, like, people like us, we're always working. It's just, I can't turn it off. We have to always, like, do that kind of thing. But yeah, city rivalry, same thing. So here being like Akron, Cleveland's little stepbrother, like I remember growing up thinking like I had this irrational hatred towards Pittsburgh, and then I started going, I'm like, oh, I love Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like sports has made me, this is something I'm supposed to not like. I love this city. This is a fun city to go and hang out in, and I love the terrain in Pittsburgh, and I love the bike paths in Pittsburgh, and so yeah, city scene, yeah, city rivalries, like, I love to have arguments. As you could probably tell, I'm an argumentative person, but when it comes down to it, like, there's nothing I don't want to see. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been mad I've gone somewhere. Maybe I don't necessarily need to go back. Like, and again, not an argument. Chicago doesn't do for me what New York does for me. Like when people are like, oh, I like Chicago for blah, blah, blah. To me, it's not New York. It doesn't mean I didn't have a good time. I went to Chicago, rode my bike, had a blast. If I have a choice, I would still rather be in New York City. But now I've been to both a bunch, so I'd also rather go somewhere I've never been before. But, Rusty was saying his company is in Denver, so he has many arguments daily about Denver versus Phoenix. Yeah. You have a year-round green market on your corner in Brooklyn. Nice. Well, you said New York City's ego is so huge. It's not like anywhere else in the world. I don't know. But I do find the funny thing about New York, and especially back when I was going there in the early 2000s, when the music scene was really blowing up post Strokes or right around the time of the Strokes and stuff like that, was like you'd be sitting at a bar and you would ask someone where they're from, and they would be like, I'm from New York. And you'd be like, yeah, but where are you from? And then they're like, Indianapolis, Cleveland, Akron, Pittsburgh. But everyone used to say that. One thing I like about Terry is like, he's always like, I won't call myself a New Yorker yet. I haven't lived here long enough. And what, he's going on like almost 10 years? I think he's from California, but to me, he's a New Yorker at this point, right? But everybody else, it's like, oh, I've been in New York for 6 months. I'm going to call myself a New Yorker. But it's the crossroads of the world, right? I think it's still one of the most cosmopolitan cities in the world when they break it down. Large Marge has never been there. That's one of the reasons that I was saying when we do our bike tour over 4th of July, that would be a good way to go. Also, Terry said to hit him up. He'd meet us up in Albany and ride down, so that'd be sweet. But we have a piddle break coming up. We have a go to bed break coming up. It's already after 11, isn't it? It's 11:30. Yeah. California Russian says R.I.P. Tiger Woods. I thought he rolled his car. I got the push notifications from the Times. I thought he was totally fine. He lived. Yeah, I thought he lived. Yeah, I think he like hurt a leg or something. I think it was pretty minor. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, Pudgy. You always stay up here. When we're up here till midnight, you're always going and you get up so early. I'm all editing tomorrow here in the studio, so I'm meeting Aaron, so I don't, to go for a ride around 3, so I definitely don't want to sleep in too late, but should we? Oh yeah, let's call it, guys. It's Tuesday, so we'll be back here on Thursday. Do it again. Rick's gonna come on live on Thursday. We're gonna watch some of Rick's videos, and he can commentate on them. We'll start off, do a little interview, get to know him out there in Philly. Straight trolling. Yeah, I'll pull up some of your cycling videos, Rick, and then some of your cycling photos with your bike, but then we'll watch some of those videos and have a good time. Yeah. See you, Matthew. See everybody. I look forward to Thursday. Let me know what you think of. Hey, Matthew, I would definitely appreciate you letting me know what you think of tomorrow's video, because definitely a more of a nerdy filmmaker type thing. So thanks as always, guys. Thanks to the 2 new members. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is not right.
Fitzwater photo.